Hey everybody, what's up? Dan here, and this is For Your Mental Health Weekly, where I talk about different mental health issues that affect me and that affect those around me and that are throughout the world. So thank you for coming here to my channel, watching on YouTube, or listening on the various streaming audio services that the podcast is on. I really appreciate the support. If you can like the video, subscribe, share, that would be super awesome, as that helps out the channel a lot as well. Episode number 18 of For Your Mental Health Weekly. Today we talk about triggering and things that are in the world today that will trigger a certain emotional response in someone's mind that can cause negative thoughts to arise. I think it's an important one because, one, it's something that I've dealt with quite a bit in my life, and two, I know it's been something that's kind of been made fun of in memes, and it's something that I don't think gets taken super seriously maybe by a lot of the internet community. So I think it's important to make this episode to really touch on what it is and why it's important that we recognize that it's out there. I guess I'll start with my story about triggering. And it once again stems from losing one of my heroes, Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, who tragically took his own life back in July of 2017. It's hard sometimes to see his face, at all, because it reminds me of that tragic incident, that tragic moment that occurred. And so, I had like a heart poster up on my wall. You can probably see it in some of the prior videos that has his face on it. And it's a super positive poster because it has one of my favorite bands, Scandal, on it. It's got a bunch of my friends from the Pokemon Go YouTube days. It's got people from the TFW DuPage Gym. It's got me on it, and a bunch of signatures from people that were at my birthday party that year, from people I truly love and care deeply about, and it's a meaningful poster to me. But the problem is, when I see Chester's face, all the time, it gives me these negative thoughts, which can really be quite troublesome, to have something like that just sitting there on the wall, having to see it all the time, especially when you're going through things in your own life. That was something I didn't realize was a difficult thing until it just became really difficult to deal with. So I had it up for a year until I moved to this new apartment, and now I don't have it up. Hopefully I'll put up more posters in the foreseeable future, but for now, I have chosen not to put that one up again because it does trigger thoughts of self-harm when I do see his face all the time. So I try to think about and keep in mind all the amazing things that Chester brought to my life. All the music that he made, all the jokes, all the funny moments with the band, and lightheartedness, and his empathy for others. Those are things I want to take with me. His dedication to his craft. I want to take those things with me. I don't want to, focus on the tragic events that occurred. I don't want that to be his standout sort of quality. In my eyes, because it really isn't. It really is a lot more about who he was as a person, the music he made, his personality, and just the way he, made people feel across the world. So, including myself. So he was a hero to me, and someone I'll never forget, and will always inspire me in my whole life. His face, seeing that all the time, quite a bit triggering, unfortunately. So I've had to take it down. Other things that deal with self-harm in the world, like certain films that come out that have the word in it. That's difficult. If you deal with something on a super personal basis all the time, and you're trying to heal from it, you're trying to focus on other things, you're trying to move past it, you're trying to, live your life with that aspect in mind, knowing that it happens all the time, but you don't want to do it yourself. It can be super difficult to see certain triggering words in movies and television shows, online. It's just, there is a whole world out there of people that, aren't necessarily thinking about mental health first and foremost. They're thinking about making movies and making money, right? And so, people like violence, people like, things that are risque, something that is extreme, like that's what sells, right? That a lot of it is that. If you're someone who, for instance, went to war and, you've got, some issues with what happened during your time, and, you maybe don't want to watch a lot of war films because that reminds you, that, triggers you a bit of how your experience went in the war, wherever you went, wherever you were stationed, right? It really all depends on a personal experience and what you've been through as a person, and and something that not everyone else can really fully grasp, because only you went through it, right? Only you can attest to what you went through, because no one else lives your life. Only you live your life. So ultimately, you are the one who has to make the choice to make people understand, like, hey, like, I can't watch that movie because it has this word in it, or this word in the title, or these characters are doing something that is triggering to me, whatever it is. So, for me, it's a lot of self-harm stuff. If there's a film or TV show, some type of media that deals with someone taking their own life or some type of self-harm thing, I'm probably not going to watch it. It just, for me, it's not worth it. It's not worth triggering these feelings within me that make me want to do the same thing. It's something that I think super needs to be known throughout the world, is that, once again, not everybody's okay. It seems like, to me, from what I can tell, a lot of people are dealing with something right now, all over the world. Like yourself, maybe you're dealing with something that you haven't told anybody about. Maybe it's something that you're embarrassed about or ashamed of, and that's okay. That's how I was as well. Before I went to go get help, before I went to go get therapy, before I started a workout plan that really, helped with anxiety and depression and thoughts of self-harm. You live your life and you do the best you can with it, under the umbrella of the rest of the world doing their own thing too, right? There is that element of being triggered. There is that element of your own personal story, your own personal journey that's happening. And, unfortunately, some things may conflict with that. A lot of things will, Life is a bumpy road. And it's not always a clear cut, like, oh, we're just going to do this and everything's going to be fine. And I'm going to live my life doing this thing and have my wife and my kids and my little dogs and my little picket fence, and life's going to be a beautiful thing. And yeah. I mean, this last year and a half plus has shown us that life isn't always pretty. And life isn't always as we expect it to be. It can be very dirty. It can be very messy. It can deal with death, I think a lot of that has caused more triggering, throughout these past year and a half or so. And, people who have had struggles with dealing with the concept of death, people passing away, and seeing on the news, you see all these statistics of people who have unfortunately lost their lives to COVID-19. It can be a lot to take in. It can be a lot to handle. You're triggered by it. You see it, and maybe you had an experience before where you lost someone, and you feel like that it brings it back to the forefront. It's like you lost your mom, you lost your dad, you lost someone in your life, close friend, and now you see all these other people dying. And it's got to be super challenging sometimes to compartmentalize that. It's like, okay, like that happened, and now this is happening, and in the future, other people are going to die too. It happens every day. For me, I've dealt with, things that have triggered me the best by trying to face it head on and really letting people know why it's triggering me and what's going on in my head. Because a lot of people don't understand what the big deal is. It's like, oh, so, this movie's called this, or, this television show has this subject matter in it, whatever. It's violence, it's extreme. We see it all the time, Some people are desensitized to it to the point where it doesn't affect them. But for others, it has a huge effect, because maybe they're teetering on the brink, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're seemingly okay, but under the surface, there's underlying issues that still need to be worked out. And if that's the case, then, you shouldn't put yourself in that situation if you can manage it, If you can walk away from something. Like if you see a billboard advertising something that triggers you, well, you can walk away from it. That's good. That's good. Or if someone shares something with you in like an instant messenger chat, you could probably delete the photo. And that way you don't have to keep seeing it when you're scrolling through the whole chat. It doesn't have to be there. You can take the initiative and do something about it and really change things for the better in your own life. And I know it can be difficult to come to that because you have to sometimes explain to people like, hey, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Like this thing that you are sharing and that you have no issue with, it gives me pause. It gives me, unfortunately, some dark feelings that I don't want to explore if I don't have to. It's like, let's leave that for another day, or not at all. It's like, let's just, focus on the positive things and how much you've grown, how much I've grown over time, and not go backwards and think about, those negative thoughts and the things that could really bring us down from, our journey of where we want to go next, how we grow, how we evolve over time and get better from a mental health perspective. I do think that triggering is something that, once again, does get made fun of a lot. That people online especially, they post memes about, people getting triggered over saying this and that and hurting people's feelings. I mean, it makes a difference, That's just more negativity in the world. That's more toxicity in the world that causes more people to feel in pain, to feel emotional pain. It's kind of silly. It really is, to think that people don't care about the majority of others. They just care about themselves, But unfortunately, that's the way that things have gone for a while. There isn't as much one-on-one kind of conversation stuff. A lot of people are sitting behind their computers anonymously, and they'll just post whatever, and they feel like they can get away with it, So, for me, once again, I feel like I'm fighting for the people out there that do care, that do want to see people succeed, that do want to see emotional growth rather than, going backwards and going, into the toxicity, into the extreme negativity, into the jokey culture of making fun of every single thing that is under the sun. So, that this is that kind of safe space, So if you feel these emotions, if you feel like these issues affect you or someone you know and love, let's talk about it. Share this video. Let people know that there are people out there that care, that aren't gonna prejudge someone or heckle someone or make someone feel low because they can. To affect the powerless in such a brutal way is completely unnecessary, and it's extremely immature. It really is. I hope that, people that watch this video that can get something from it, that can, change their mind about triggering and can, do something positive in the world, can do it. I hope action is taken. And you have this conversation with your friends or your family and really, open up what triggers you and how it makes you uncomfortable and what your family and friends can do about it to make you feel better about things and give you a better emotional landscape to move through, in your social life. So hopefully people are willing to do that. That would be my hope for you and for the rest of the world, is that people be open-minded about these things, and don't always land on the negative, the jokey, toxic nature of certain memes, and really just focus on being empathetic and loving each other. Because in this time, in this era, we desperately need it. We desperately need people to have a heart. And I hope that it can happen. That I can make this change. That you can make this change. That one person at a time can grow into to 10, to 100, to 1,000, to 1,000,000, and can just spread this positivity and love throughout the world. Because we're gonna save lives. We're gonna save lives doing that. That is episode number 18 of For Your Mental Health Weekly. I really appreciate you watching it. This episode on triggering, things that trigger you. What has been your experience with triggering? You can leave a comment down below. We can talk about it a little bit more, and we can continue the conversation. Share this with someone you think it'll help, and we can go from there and spread the love and spread the positivity throughout the world. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. And as always, follow your instincts. And LYF, love yourself first. Much love to you all. Peace out for now. So long. Cha. Cha.